So, good morning, students. And today we will be continuing with the discussion of chapter heredity, which was going on. And in our last class, we discussed what is heredity, what are the acquired and the inherited traits. Then, who studied the inheritance pattern, or we can say who studied the inheritance of traits in the pea plant. And why did Mendel selected pea plant for his experiment? And now today we will be going to discuss Mendel's law of inheritance. Today we will be discussing Mendel's law of inheritance. So let us discuss today Mendel's law. First of all, in our last class we discussed what characters did Mendel took for his experiments. And I told you that presently in class 10, we will be concerned with specifically 3 characters, and that is definitely the seed color, seed shape, and height of the plant. For the height of the plant, how many varieties we have considered? Through the chat box, you give me the reply. For the height of the plant, very good. We considered, yes, 2 varieties. Very good. 2. Okay. And what were the 2 varieties? What were the 2 varieties which we considered? What were the 2 varieties which we considered? Very good. Very quick answer. Very good. Yes. Tall and dwarf. Very good. For seed color, what varieties we considered? What were the colors we considered when we were talking about the seed color? Seed color. Very good. Yellow and green. Very good. And when we were discussing about the seed shape, what were the seed shape we were discussing? What were the seed shape we were discussing? Very good, round and wrinkled. Now, out of these 6 varieties, tell me which varieties were dominant. Out of these 6 varieties, tell me which varieties were dominant. Which varieties were dominant? All the 3 you will be saying. Suppose 6 varieties we have studied. Then out of these 6 varieties, you will name all together. Very good, Khushbu. Altogether, very complete answer. Yes, the tall, yellow, round. In case of the height of the plant, tall was dominant and dwarf was recessive. When we are considering the seed color, in seed color, definitely the yellow color was the dominant and the green color was the recessive. And when we were considering the seed shape, round was dominant and wrinkled was recessive. Very good. And now, student, we will be studying that how these traits are inherited and what are the laws of inheritance. Actually, Mendel formulated 3 laws: law of dominance, law of segregation, and law of independent assortment. Now, let us see one cross which we will be discussing now. Definitely, the law of dominance is included under both the laws. Okay, because we will see that in presence of the dominant character, the recessive character is unable to express itself. So that part is a hidden one, present in both the other 2 laws, and one by one we will be seeing the laws. First of all, we will be discussing with the monohybrid cross. Now, student, before going into the monohybrid cross, can anyone tell me that what do we mean by the monohybrid cross? You raise your hand quickly so that I can unmute you. What do you mean by the monohybrid cross? Aryan raised his hand very quickly. Okay, Aryan, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Aryan, what is a monohybrid cross?
Monohybrid cross is a cross involving single pair of contrasting character.
Okay, very good, Aryan. You have said it is a cross involving single pair of contrasting character. Now, Can anyone say me what do we mean by this term contrasting character? Apart from Aryan, anyone else? He said that monohybrid cross is a cross involving single pair of contrasting characters, single pair. So what do we mean by this term contrasting? Can anyone say? What do we mean by this term contrasting? Anyone? For answering, you must raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Okay, Anjali. Anjali raised her hand. You can unmute yourself, Anjali.
Contrasting characters means which are totally different or opposite.
Opposite or totally different. Very good. For example, if you will say tall and dwarf, they two are completely contrasting. One is clearly visible to be tall and other is clearly visible to be dwarf. Very good. Okay, single pair of contrasting character. Now see what did Mendel did. Okay. In the forgetting, or we can say in the monohybrid crossed, Mendel, just a moment. No. Mendel crossed tall plant and short plant in first generation, which is the F1 progeny. Here we will also discuss what do we mean by the F1 progeny. F1 progeny means the offspring obtained after crossing the parent. And he crossed the tall plant and short plants. Okay, so let me show you also. See, tall plant here will be designated as capital T, and short plant will be designated as small t, small t. Okay, it is also reflected over here. You can see over here, tall plants are given over here, capital T, and the dwarf plants are being represented as small t, small t. Okay, now when these are crossed to get the F1 progeny, when these are crossed to get the F1 progeny, then what happens? All the plants, just a moment, all the plants obtained in the F1 generation are, or we can say all the plants which we are getting in the F1 generation after crossing the parent are tall. Now, students, just a moment. Yes, you can see over here in the screen also. Yes, you can see over here, tall is represented by capital T, and short is represented by small t. And when they are crossed, that wants to get the F1 progeny, all plants in the F1 progeny are tall and their genotype is capital T, small t. Now students, can you tell me why we are saying that the plants which we are getting in the F1 generation, all the plants are tall? Anyone? For that you need to be unmuted. Raise your hand. Why we are getting in the F1 generation all the tall plants? Though we are crossing the tall plant with the dwarf plant, the dwarf gene is also there. Then why all the plants are tall? Why all the plants are tall over here? Yes, student, I repeat my question. I said you that when we crossed the tall plants, which is designated by capital T, with the small plants or the dwarf plant or the short plant, which is designated as small t, in F1 generation, we are getting all plants to be the tall. Why? Can anyone say? Yes, Aryan, you can unmute yourself. Yes, Aryan, you can unmute yourself. Yes, yes, through the chat. Yes. Okay, Prachi raised her hand. Okay, let me give chance to Prachi. Okay. Just a moment. Acha, Prachi got disconnected. Okay, no problem. Yes, yes, through the chat box, many of the students. Okay, very good, Khushbu. All have the dominant plant express themselves over the recessive gene. Very good, correct. Because capital T is dominant over small t. Very good. And as a result, we are getting all the tall plants. Yes, students, definitely the dominant genes are the genes which will not allow the recessive gene to express its character, and the recessive gene will be able to express its character only in the homozygous condition. Homozygous condition means when suppose capital T, small t and small t that is present, then only it will be called as a the recessive one, because it is in a homozygous condition. Okay, but a dominant gene can express itself both in the homozygous, that is we are saying capital T and capital T small t. In both the condition, the dominant gene can express itself both in the heterozygous condition as well as in the homozygous condition. So in the F1 generation or the F1 progeny, all the offspring produced are tall. Definitely because of the fact of the, now here student, the law of dominance is there. That means in presence of the dominant character, the recessive character is unable to express itself, or we can say the recessive character is suppressed. Now when the recessive character will be expressed, the recessive character will be expressing itself in the second generation. So if we will overall summarize the Mendel's work of till the F1 generation, see our text discussion also, that he crossed a tall plant and short plant. In first generation, all plants were tall. There were no halfway characteristic. That means none of them were medium heighted plants. That is, only one parental trait, tall, was expressed, and the expressed trait is called the dominant, and the suppressed trait is the recessive. Now let us see what happens in the F2 generation. Now all of you see in the F2 generation. Now in the F2 generation, you all see here the offsprings of the F1 generation were self-pollinated. So you can see here capital T small t is crossed with capital T small t. Now when these are crossed, like suppose I'm showing you over here also, when the capital T small t is crossed with the capital T and small t, that means self-pollinated, 4 offspring we will be getting. First, capital T, then you see in the screen, capital T, small t, then again third offspring, capital T, small t, and the last one, small t, small t. Okay, so here you can see 3 offsprings. 3 offsprings are tall. 3 offsprings are, we are saying they are tall, and 1 offspring is the short or the dwarf. Okay, this is the short one. Clear? So, if you are saying that externally how many are tall, then you will be saying, sir, 3 and 1 is dwarf. So, the phenotypic ratio becomes 3:1. But whenever we will be talking about the genetic composition or the genetic constitution, you will be saying 1 is pure tall, 2 is hybrid tall, and 1 is pure dwarf. So the ratio becomes 1:2:1. Is it clear to all the students? Is it clear to all the students? Okay, very good. Yes. Okay. So what was the overall conclusion after doing the F2 generation? The second generation F2 progeny were 75% tall. Why 75% tall? Because out of the 4, 3 are tall, so it is coming to 75%, and 1/4, that is 25%, is short. This indicates that both the traits, tall and the shorts, were inherited in the F1 plants, but only the tallness trait was expressed, and thus he proposed that what was the we can say that after this cross, what was his proposal? He proposed that the 2 copies of the factor, now called gene. Remember, when Mendel was talking about the factor, that time he was unable to express that in the word gene. He said factor, control trait in sexually reproducing organism. They may be identical or different based on the parentage. So students, after this cross, the monohybrid cross, which law did Mendel formulated? Can you tell me? Which law did Mendel formulated after doing the monohybrid cross? My question is, which law did Mendel formulated? Yes, correct, Khushbu, very good. Law of segregation. Yes. And according to the law of segregation, which Mendel stated, the characters are controlled by internal factors. And if we substitute the word factor with the present day word gene, we can clearly understand. Let us use it parallelly. So characters are controlled by internal factor. If we are changing the word factor, characters are controlled by internal gene that occur in pair. That means the factor will occur in pair in present time, present version. Gene will occur in pair, and during the gamete formation, only one of a such pair of the factor is present in the single gamete. Okay, is it clear to all the law of segregation? Law of segregation, that is the monohybrid cross. Is it clear to all? Is it clear to all the students? Okay. Yes, through the chat box, you give me the, okay, yes, I got the remark. Okay, fine, very good. So after doing the law of segregation and the law of dominance, a number of terms also is getting clear to us, that what is a F1 generation, what is a F2 generation, what is a monohybrid cross, then what are phenotypes, what are genotypes. Remember, student, these terms are also asked in the examination, and it may be asked to you. Okay, so this is the Mendel's monohybrid cross. Now, anyone, can you discuss what was Mendel's contribution for getting or for arriving to the law of segregation? Can anyone discuss the monohybrid cross? It is depicted over here also. Can anyone discuss? Just raise your hand what we have studied now. The whole cross. Who can discuss? Yes, raise your hand. Okay. One question has come from Khushbu. What is allelic pair? Allele. alternative form of gene is called allele. Okay, Khushbu, suppose capital T, capital T, capital T, small t. So these are the allele, the alternative form of the gene. Is it clear? Is it clear, Khushbu? Okay, fine. So once again, I repeat my question. Who can discuss? Yes. Just a moment. Okay, Aryan, yes, you can say, you can go ahead with the discussion. Yes. Aryan, you can unmute yourself. Yes, Aryan. Yes, Aryan, the monohybrid cross, you want?
Yes, sir. In monohybrid cross, one tall parents and one dwarf parents. When we cross this, then the
Yes.
parents, then the generation form was tall. That is indicated by T and a large T and a small T. On selfing this, that large T and a small T and large T, a small T crossing this, then the three tall parents was formed and one dwarf, in which one pure tall, two hybrid tall, and one pure dwarf. That is the ratio of 1:2:1.
Very good, Aryan. Well explained. Okay, very good, Aryan. Yes, you can. Yes, very good, Aryan. Well explained. That is in the F1 generation, we are taking the tall plant and the short plants, we are crossing them. The offsprings which we are getting is completely tall. This indicates that tallness is dominant over dwarfness. And when we are selfing or doing the self-pollination of the F1 progeny, then out of the 4 progeny we are getting in the F2 generation, 3 are tall phenotypically, 1 is dwarf phenotypically, and genotypically 1 is pure tall, 2 is hybrid tall, and 1 is pure dwarf. And after doing the cross, Mendel formulated the law of segregation. Okay, Anjali, can you state the law of segregation, Anjali? Anjali, state the law of segregation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Anjali.
According to this law, the characteristics or the trait of an organism is determined by internal factors that occur in pair. Only one of a pair of such factor is be present in a single gamete.
Okay, very good. Well, very good, Anjali. So Aryan discussed what we have discussed regarding the monohybrid cross, and Anjali very well stated the law of segregation. Now, student, if in the examination, the question comes, one very important NCERT question is there, which is given in the blueprint, that how did Mendel show that traits may be dominant or recessive? So you have to discuss about the whole monohybrid cross. Even the dominant or the recessive can be expressed or can be discussed by the law of independent assortment also, or the dihybrid cross, which we'll be doing after this discussing of this cross. But it can be discussed or it can be written from this very cross also. Okay, so yes, so this the monohybrid cross is the today's topic of discussion, and all of you also write down today's assignment also. Write down today's assignment also, which you will be doing. Deduce Mendel's monohybrid. Deduce Mendel's monohybrid phenotypic and genotypic ratio. Deduce Mendel's monohybrid phenotypic and genotypic ratio. This will be your today's assignment. Okay.